Hello everyone, Ahmed Umate speaking. I'm going to make my presentation today on the chi-square test of independence. So we'll start with the agenda. So we'll start by introducing the chi-square test. Then we'll go to some examples which was listed by the professor in the descriptions. Then we'll go to Karma's V interpretations, the takeaways, and if you have any questions. So to introduce the chi-square test, the chi-square test for independence is used to determine if there is a significant relationship between two nominal in bracket categorical variables. This test is important since it can be used for both the two and multiple groups of studies. So usually the null hypothesis is as HO there is no relationship, and the alternative there is a relationship. The Karmas 5 is calculated only when the null hypothesis is rejected, and it measures the strength of the relationship when the null hypothesis is rejected. So in the first test, we found out there was no significance. So again, the null hypothesis here was there's no relationship between the number of cars and number of defaults. On the alternative, there's a relationship between the number of cars and the number of defaults. So the chi-square static and its p-value were calculated using our software PSP, um, assuming that alpha was equal to 0.05, no relationship emerged. So x squared 6n equals 150 plus 6.681 and p was 0.351. The second test taken, there was no significance here too. So the following test was conducted. The alternative hypothesis, the null hypothesis if there's no relationship between leg comfort and number of defaults, and the alternative there's a relationship between the leg comfort and number of defaults. So the chi-square static and its p-value were calculated using again the software, and using that we assumed alpha was equal to 0.05, and we found out as a result that no relationship emerged. The last test we did was test number 3, alternative hypothesis. There is no relationship between number of cars and light comfort, and that's the null hypothesis. And the alternative hypothesis, the relationship between number of cars and light comfort. So we've carried the test and the p-value were calculated with our software again. We also assumed that alpha was 0.05, and as a result, a relationship emerged. And so what we had, the Karma's relationship there for this test indicated there was a very strong relationship. So we have the interpretations of the Karmas 5 here. So 0, no relationship. It ranges again from 0 to 1. 0 meaning there's no relationship, and 1 means it's perfectly symmetric. You can see in between what it means. 0 to 0.15 very weak, 0.15 to 0.2 weak, 0.2 to 0.25 moderate, 0.25 to 0.3 moderately strong, 0.3 to 0.35 strong, 0.35 to 4 very strong, and 0.4 to 0.5 reasonably strong, 0.5 to 0.99 redundant. So after completing this exercise, the major takeaways we had here was the chi-square test helps us to find the relationship between two nominal groups. The Karmas 5 takes values between 0 and 1, and again it's used to determine the strength of a relationship. So this is my presentation today. I will be completing it here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will be monitoring the comment section to see if anyone has any questions. Thanks again for taking your time to watch my video this week. Have a good day.